including John Fox Jr. himself. Jack Hale is presented as an engineer who originated from his hometown of Lexington, Kentucky, where he attended Transylvania University. He has settled in the idyllic pre-industrial mountain hamlet called The Gap. He envisions growing rich and modernizing the Gap by brokering deals with the local mountaineers for harvesting the vast coal and iron deposits held within their lands. Unfortunately, by the novel's end, Hale's good intentions and lofty expectations begin to be consumed by the coal boom he himself ignites. The comparison of Hale to his creator, Fox, is easily made in this regard. As previously stated, Fox came to the region 23 years prior to his novel's publication. He was following the exact ambition as his character. John Fox Jr. also attended Transylvania University, but would eventually graduate with a major in English from Harvard. He, like Hale, was a "furriner," as the mountain folk called those not native to their mountains. He, like Hale, fell in love with the region, being enchanted by its people and environs. Unlike Hale, John Fox Jr. did not do that well at brokering land deals, but just as his character, he experienced the romance of his life while living in the hills. Indeed, the Trail of the Lonesome Pine is nothing if not a timeless romance. While his character, Hale, finds love in the person of Devil Judd's free-spirited, pseudo-feral, but highly intelligent and beautiful daughter, June Tolliver, Fox fell in love with the renowned Austrian opera diva Fritzi Schiff. Fox actually dedicated his famous novel to F.S., Fritzi Schiff, and the couple was married just after the book's 1908 publication. Their torrid romance would not, however, have a happy ending. By all reports, Fritzi loathed living in the little mountain town to which Fox took her home. The couple divorced in 1913 after just 5 years of marriage. 6 years later, on July 8, 1919, John Fox Jr. died of complications due to pneumonia. He was interred in his hometown near Paris, Kentucky, just south of Cincinnati, Ohio. It is generally thought that even though the novel's heroine, June, is not solely based on Fritzi, certainly Fox's descriptions of the romance between Jack and June reflects the degree to which Fox had been smitten by the feisty, Austrian-born cosmopolite. In his lifetime, John Fox Jr. produced 11 notable literary works. His first novel, The Kentuckians, was published in 1897. The following year, he worked as a correspondent in the Spanish-American War. From 1904 to 1905, he worked as a correspondent in the Russo-Japanese War. While his books and stories eclipsed his career as a journalist, it is notable that he originally worked in 1883 as a reporter in New York City. Likewise, the Hale character is portrayed as having connections in and making visits to the northern metropolis. In the end, Fox died a rich man, having sold over 2 million copies of The Trail of the Lonesome Pine alone in the 11 years prior to his death. Beyond the obvious blending of his own life and the Jack Hale character, there is a second source that must be considered. It has long been reported, and remains so on the Trail of the Lonesome Pine Outdoor Drama's official webpage, that a certain geologist and contemporary of Fox's, named James Hodge, brought a young girl out of a local backcountry coal camp and enrolled her into school in Big Stone Gap. Here he remained her sponsor and provided for her education. The uncanny resemblance to elements of Jack Hale and June Tolliver's relationship cannot be overlooked. While there is some question as to the veracity of the story, its blending into Fox's narrative would be in keeping with the local color genre with which he wrote The Trail of the Lonesome Pine. This, and if the story's true, the congruity of the two tales would make the odds of it being sheer coincidence astronomical. The third source of the Hale character seems to be a young man who courted and eventually married one of Devil John's daughters named Willie Church. Willie, like the Uncle Billy character, was known as Squire Billy. He was a man who, in spite of his youth, was installed as an overseer in constructing train trestles, but, like Hale, referred to himself as an engineer. Accordingly, his preference of dress closely resembles Fox's description of Hale's attire. Most tellingly, when Willie Church approached Devil John with his notion of marrying his daughter, effectively removing her from her duties at the house, Devil John's original reply is practically a word-for-word quote of the Devil Judd character's original response to Hale bringing June to the Gap for schooling. It has long been established that the Tolliver clan of the novel is based on Devil John's kinfolk, the Wright family. Even the surname Tolliver and its derivative Taliaferro, also described in the novel, are common Christian names within the Wright family contemporaneous with Devil John. During the friendship between John Fox Jr. and Devil John Wright that spanned 20 years, Fox paid many visits to both of Devil John's homes. It would be at these locations that Fox would come to be intimately knowledgeable of all of Devil John's family members who were spoken of, lived nearby, or actually lived with Devil John, as was common to the clannish people of the region in that time. These locations included the home on Elkhorn Creek in Kentucky and the home at Horse Gap near Pound, Virginia. It would be these two locations in both states that Fox would blend into the memorable fictional cabin at Lonesome Cove on Lonesome Creek in the shadow of the Lonesome Pine. The small road that used to lead from the small community, then known as Pound Gap, up to Devil John's home at the base of the mountain, creating the eastern flank of Horse Gap, is now a roadway intersected by the modern four-lane highway of US 23. This nondescript little road that Fox would travel as the last leg of his trip when he visited Devil John is in fact the actual trail referred to in the Trail of the Lonesome Pine. If one travels southwest on Main Street in Pound, after crossing Highway 23, the road, State Route T630, becomes Old North Fork Road. This roadway from the town limit to Horse Gap is what remains of the actual trail described in The Trail of the Lonesome Pine. In the same regard, it is the geographical proximity of Pound Gap to Devil John's Virginia home that is used in Fox's description of Lonesome Cove to Fox's fictionalized town of The Gap. In short, the actual trail of the Lonesome Pine laid not between Big Stone Gap and a fictional mountain homestead, as is generally believed, but between the modern town of Pound and what remains of Devil John Wright's land at Horse Gap just outside the town limit. While it is simple historical fact that Fox's character of Devil Judd Tolliver is based on Devil John, the physical description of Devil Judd may be more remarkable than one may think. Fox describes Devil Judd as being a giant. Interpretations of the Devil Judd character have usually been of a large, stocky, robust, and bearded mountain man. This would be the visage created by the quintessential Devil Judd Tolliver, portrayed so well by Tommy Masters of Big Stone Gap in his years with the outdoor drama. In reality, Fox's description, exemplified by illustrations in the original novel, is of a proportionately built man with gauntly, thin facial features comparable to a bird of prey. It is an accurate description of Devil John Wright, except for references to his giant stature. John Fox Jr. knew Devil John from his mid-50s up to his mid-70s. John was indeed a tall, somewhat lanky figure, but he was no giant. What may be so remarkable about this is, rather than being just a literary device used to convey Jack Hale's courage in dealing with the giant Devil Judd, is that Devil John Wright was related to and close with a real-life giant. Devil John's favorite uncle was the proportionately built 400 to 500 pound, 7 foot, 11 inch tall circus performer, the Kentucky Giant, Martin Van Buren Bates. This close relation and all of the exceptional tales that it undoubtedly possessed, being such an important part of Devil John's life, was probably not lost on an accomplished writer such as John Fox Jr. Unfortunately, it is a proposition which can't be conclusively proven. However, it seems to be more than coincidence that a main character developed by an author as adept as Fox at blending plural sources into the singular, described as a giant, would just happen to be based on a man actually related to a genuine giant. Therefore, the contention that the character of Devil Judd Tolliver's stature was inspired by Devil John's real-life giant uncle just might be viewed as more obvious inference than sheer conjecture. In the novel, Jack Hale's nemesis and rival for June's affections is her cousin, young Dave Tolliver. Young Dave is presented as the son of another of Devil Judd's brothers, referred to as Old Dave Tolliver. The reader is led to understand a backstory of a falling out occurring between Devil Judd and his older brother, Old Dave, prior to the story's beginning. Inasmuch as unraveling John Fox Jr.'s inspiration and sources regarding Devil John Wright, his kin, and the region's history is concerned, here is where things get a little murky. Devil John Wright did have 4 brothers. However, when Fox knew Devil John, none of these were older than Devil John, and none were named Dave. Likewise, none of Devil John's brothers had a son named Dave, and the only one who named his son after him was Samuel Wright. It has already been ascertained that Samuel Wright, kinky-haired Sam, is the basis for the character of Uncle Billy, and there was no falling out between Devil John and his brother in the novel or in real life. A comparison of kinky-haired Sam's son reveals no corresponding attributes to the young Dave character. Further complicating any attempt at identifying Hale's rival, young Dave, with any actual counterpart in the Wright family is the fact that the young Dave character's father, Old Dave, can actually be identified with a well-known historical figure. This would be the real-life person and infamous murder victim, Old Ira Mullins. In Fox's novel, Old Dave is murdered by the only character in the story called by his real-life name. This would be the wonderfully creepy but accurately portrayed backwoods sorcerer and outlaw known as the Red Fox. History records that Swedenborgian holy man, renowned herb doctor and cold-blooded killer Doc M.B. Taylor, simply known as the Red Fox, was convicted